Welcome to the Land Your Bet Sports Betting Show. Looking at the NBA here on Friday. Got 7 games to choose from. I've got a few bets that I'm looking at with you guys. 5 looks already that I want to share with you here in this episode. Had a great Thursday night that we will quickly go over here in a second. I've got a sale on the VIP for those of you looking for some access to get on the wagon here as we continue to heat up in the LYB community. Also want to start showcasing some of the looks that you guys are putting in the comments. Got some really good looks. So I'm asking you guys, jump in the comments of this video. Give me your bets, the best bet that you have. I don't want a million of them. I just want your best bet of the day for Friday. And I want the supporting reasoning. I don't need a paragraph or a huge long explanation. I just want some supporting evidence for why you believe in the bet that is your best bet of the day. Throw those in the comments. I'm going to find my top 5 and I'm going to throw those into the live show as we're doing that every day, 5:30 p.m. Eastern. And we will be back on Friday with that live show. So I'm going to go ahead and screenshot those, give you guys a shout out on the live show for giving me some good bets with good reasoning behind the bets and start to showcase some of that stuff for you. But let's go ahead and get right into things. Give this video a like and let's jump right into it. Yes, sir. Nice little 8-1 on the night there, plus 5.7 units. And to be honest, the only one I even care about going over too deeply is the Franz Wagner over 28.5 PR. He got over his points prop. I don't know why I felt the need to add the rebounds prop, especially in a game that had Goga Batadze coming back. So a little bit of a misfire on mine, but something really interesting that I wanted to point out because of the state of the NBA right now. There's a lot of conversation about how you can't really bet on it. It's rigged. Terry Rozier is now a story. Guys are being listed out after games tip off, which makes no sense. And there's a lot of bullshit going on for sure. But I will say all of the 8 bets that I hit here, I played later in the day. The only bet that I played early in the day, like early morning on Thursday, was Franz Wagner. That was the only loss. The 8 wins, all of those came when I played them later in the day after we had actual lineups. Ja Morant went from not even on the injury report to completely out by the middle of the afternoon out on the West Coast. So you got to wait for these things to be able to adequately and accurately bet on the NBA. It's just how it is right now. So I'm not going to be putting too much stuff down on my card the night before unless I really, really feel like I'm going to get some closing line value. But it doesn't really pay right now to bet in the NBA early. So we're going to be a little bit patient here. I'm going to go through the looks that I've got down on my card right now that I'm going to be looking at. And then I'm going to get into those again on the live show. And obviously, if you're in the VIP, you get those as soon as I put them down and put the bet down. So if you do want to get in on the VIP, though, I got a little sale going on right now, 50% off if you use code HEATINGUP. That'll get you 50% off your first month when you jump in there. There's 3 different packages. They give you a few different offerings. Make sure that you're checking that stuff out. But no matter which package you choose, you will be getting expert picks and analysis for all of them, access to the guest cappers, that's for all of them as well. And then a few of them will offer one-on-one sports betting consultations so that you and I can meet. I'll help you trim some of the bad habits that you're probably displaying in your betting if you're not winning over the long period, and we'll get some good habits going for you as well. So hit me up if you do want to do that. Hope to see you guys in the VIP, and at the very least, hope to see you in the live show, 5:30 p.m. Eastern. Bring your bets, and like I said, I'm going to go ahead and showcase the 5 bets that I like in the comments of this video to give you guys a shout out, as long as you give me a little bit of supporting reasoning why you like the bet. But let's go ahead and jump to everything I've got right now for Friday. As we get into everything that we've got for Friday, remember, we are using PropsMadness. This is the actual best tool around to make sure that you're finding the best value on these bets you're making in the NBA. So you can use code LYB, get yourself a free trial for a week if you want to try it out before you go ahead and get access to it, full access to it, I should say. Or you'll just get 25% off when you do sign up using code LYB. Get yourself that discount and go ahead and start using this if you're not and you're betting on the NBA. I highly recommend it. And please give me any questions that you have about it. I love to help people out with this tool. Let's get into the first bet I've got, and I'm looking at Kyrie to God. That is the first play that I'm looking at here for a few reasons for Kyrie. One, this is a great matchup, so we can start there. We know that he's playing without Luka Doncic in this game. I've got listed already here. I selected no Luka Doncic, so I went to games without, took Luka out, and so now we can see Kyrie Irving stuff without Luka. 24.4 points, basically the same. The points are what I'm eyeing here with Kyrie because the matchup is very, very good for someone who is a pick and roll ball handler, who is the main ball handler, and the guy who's shooting off the pull up, not shooting up off the spot up, right? So you can see for Kyrie where he's shooting from to start with here on the season shot chart. He's taking 33% of his shots and scoring, I should say, 33% of his points from above the break threes. This team in Detroit, fourth worst, limiting above the break threes. They're really bad all the way in any kind of jump shooting capacity. That's really what it is. And so a guy like Kyrie is either going to be shooting a mid-range shot where the Pistons are giving up the 5th most points per game. 2 guys shooting in the mid-range. They're giving up the 5th most points in the extended paint where Kyrie gets that little floater going. So this is an opportune defense for a guy like Kyrie to cook. The other thing here that I do really think is important is the fact that the Detroit Pistons are not going to let you score off the spot up. If you look at the play type analysis here at the very bottom, you can see that Kyrie is not scoring off the spot up. He's scoring 21% of his points as the pick and roll ball handler. When you look at spot up, he's only scoring like 12% of his points from that shot, and he's doing that mostly when he's playing with Luka. When he's not playing with Luka, the ball is in his hands and he's not playing off ball, right? So this would be a great matchup for Luka if he was in, but because he's not, it's Kyrie's offense, and Kyrie is actually taking more pull-up shots than Luka Doncic is. And that's where Detroit is the most vulnerable. On the season, they are giving up the 6th highest frequency of pull-up shots. They are also giving up the highest field goal percentage to their opponent off of pull-up shots. That includes a ton of threes that they're giving up as well off the pull-up. So as much as I like the points for Kyrie, and I do think that's the play for him, I think you also consider the threes, which are currently just at 2.5, and there's even minus 115s showing up. So once again, I don't have this bet down just yet for Kyrie because I don't feel this need and urgency to bet on the NBA the night before, when from now until tomorrow afternoon, there's just going to be a whole bunch of stuff that I didn't even know was going to happen, with random guys being ruled out, or now all of a sudden a late add to the injury report, or a guy comes off the injury report, right? It's just not worth it. But I will say the threes are a very, very juicy look right now at 2.5 for Kyrie. He's averaging 2.9 without Luka over in 12 of 18 games on the season, right? 67% hit rate. Very, very nice. This is an opportune defense, like I said, for him to hit shots off the pull-up, especially the 3. So I'm not scared of taking both, to be honest. The points and the threes. That's something that, as always, I'll be finalizing on the live show tomorrow, 5:30 p.m. Eastern. I also got to mention PJ Washington here. I don't love the matchup quite as much because he is scoring predominantly off of the spot up. If you look at his play type analysis at the bottom here, you can see PJ scoring 26% of his points off the spot up, 21% off transition. And Detroit's a pretty good transition defense as well. 12th best limiting transition points to the opponent. So not the best matchup for PJ, but the shots are probably going to be there. And in the last 5, you can see he's gone over in all 5 of these games. And really what's important is that he's been playing 1 without Luka, and 2, probably equally as important, playing without Derek Lively. There's also going to be no Maxi Kleber, and there's going to be no Dwight Powell. So PJ Washington and Daniel Gafford are going to continue to play a ton of minutes because they're the only bigs on this team that you can really trust. Maybe we'll see some Olivier Maxence Prosper. That obviously is not a name resonating with most people. So if we look at the games this season without both Lively and Doncic, I would also add that, like, in some of these games, they did have Dwight Powell, who's not around, or Maxi Kleber, who is going to miss months now at this point with his injury. So there's even fewer bigs, which means even though he got the minutes and like did decently well, he didn't get that many shots in these unders. 15 against Charlotte, really bad game. Probably felt the pressure going back to his old team. OKC, like really tough matchup without Doncic playing. Still had 16, only took 8 shots in that game. Suffocating defense. This is not going to be a suffocating defense the same way. So if PJ does get on ball a little bit, I will be looking at him for the points based on mostly the fact that it's just too low of a number. If this is at 16.5 tomorrow, he's averaging 19 per game. You can see here without Lively and Doncic, he's gone over in 60% of those games, and he's really butted up right against 16 or 17 points in the 3 here that he went under most recently, which was a few weeks ago at this point, right? So I think we're good with PJ Washington getting about 15 shots. And if you like him, if he does take 15 shots, we should at least show that filter real quick. What happens in games where PJ Washington is taking at least 15 shots? So I'm going to go over to field goal attempts. I'm going to up those to 15 as the floor and see that in those 15 games, he's averaging about 21 over in 6 of 9. Nice. Of those games where he's taken at least 15 shot attempts. And I do think that that's what we should expect here against Detroit with so many injuries for Dallas. So going to be looking at PJ Washington, another strong lean for me right now on the card as we record this on the night before, though. Jumping down to the Nuggets, playing ball in Philly here. So struggling Nuggets, obviously the struggling 76ers as well. And my first look here is a bet that we made the other night and cashed for very nice plus money. It is Kelly Oubre, over 2.5 dimes. Now, the thing about this too is that it was plus money, and now we got to pay a premium because the books are catching on. Obviously, Kelly's hit this pretty nicely over the course of the last roughly 7 games. Even if you go to the last 10 games, he's over an 8 of 10 on the 2.5 assists. So that's a really, really nice number. Let's get this down to the last 10 games. Over an 8 of 10, averaging 3.2. So it's not like he's cruising past the 3 that he needs. He's mostly getting 3 with a couple 5, 5, 4 in there as well. Denver, though, is a very, very bad team, limiting assists. If you hover over their upcoming game here, you can see that they are dead last, 30th in limiting assists. They're 21st in defensive rating, 27th points in the paint allowed. This is not a good defense for Denver, and that's a big reason why I have no problem taking teams against them, especially when they're on the road. Philly might be an exception. They are horrible, and they do not have a soul who is going to come close to being able to limit Jokic. So I'm out on that stuff. But if you take Kelly Oubre's last 10 without Paul George and without Joel Embiid, we removed both of them because you can see not only are they out, but everybody's out. Jared McCain, Caleb Martin, Andre Drummond, KJ Martin, all these guys are still out. Most importantly, Joel and Paul George. And without those two guys, he's in his last 10 without them, he's up to 3.2 assists. The key here is that he is far and away the second most, he's getting the second most touches on the team. And that's something that you can look at on NBA Advanced Stats. We're looking at this, and without showing you too much, I go over this stuff on the live show more in depth. So if you do want to see how I'm using the tools that I'm using to get these numbers that I'm finding, that'll be done on the live show. Here, I just want to bring up that I can look at the touches for each player. This is over the course of the last 2 games that we've seen without Paul George for Kelly Oubre. 75 touches, which is second to Maxey, who's got 103. That's going to continue to be the case. He's going to have the ball in his hands for the majority of the time that they're out there. But second to him is definitely going to be Kelly Oubre. And when Tyrese is off the floor, it's Kelly's world. I mean, guys like Eric Gordon or Reggie Jackson, for instance, will have the ball in their hands, but not nearly as much as Kelly will, especially because of how much time he's getting, 38 minutes per game. So he's good for about 36. And on the season, when he's on the floor with both Tyrese Maxey, but off court are Paul George and Joel Embiid, we're talking about Kelly Oubre looking at about 5 assists per 36 minutes. That's what he does when he's on the floor with Tyrese, without Joel or Paul George on the season. So this is a really good matchup for a guy who's getting about 5 assists per game when he's playing without those key players that are out tonight for Philly. So really going to like him to get 3 assists in this one. I'm going to take this up to like minus 120. I'm not really scared of this going over. I don't think there's like a mad rush to bet on Kelly Oubre's assists right now. So we should have the same numbers in the morning here and into the afternoon as well in Friday. Rolling over to the Celtics and the Pelicans. Go ahead and give that video a like. Also recommend subscribing to the page if you have not yet done so. Turn on those notifications as well because we're going live all the time. And on Saturday, we go live an hour earlier. So nice to have that little reminder. But here for the Celtics game, we've got a couple guys that are going to be questionable for the Celtics. We'll see that Al Horford's questionable. So is Sam Hauser. I think Al Horford's a little bit more on the probable side. So we'll most likely see him tomorrow. Sam Hauser is the only guy that's really questionable. So we should have a pretty full squad here for the Boston Celtics. With that in mind, as soon as you see a team going up against the Pelicans, you have to say, who is their center and can he score and get rebounds? And if you look at the Celtics center, it happens to be Kristaps Porzingis, and I would say the answer is unequivocally yes. Kristaps can score and he can board. He's played this team already this season. They only won by 1 point, and he played 34 minutes in that one. Took 19 shots against the Pelicans, 9 threes, 3 free throws. Right, everybody was healthy for that game as well for Boston. On the rebounds, he had 11 of them. And let me just pull this up head to head so you can just look at it very easily. He had 11 of them on 17 rebound chances, right? 34 minutes, like we said, for Kristaps. No reason not to go back to him. Love him in this matchup once again. Man's been hooping, right? So there's 2 bets that I really like for him. One, give me the points, give me the rebounds, give me the points and rebounds. However you want to do that. That's one bet. I prefer taking the points and rebounds in this one. I think we might be able to get 25.5 here in the morning. I'll see what the books do. If we have this at 25.5 PR, I love that more so than either the points and rebounds individually. But I'm going to take something here with points, rebounds, or both in one bet. I just need to see how these numbers settle in the morning. I just love the matchup. The Pelicans are giving up the 5th most points per game to centers. They're giving up the most rebounds per game to centers. And there's a lot of good hits here. The second bet, because, well, points and rebounds, that's going to be one. The other one, got to go back to the first quarter. It's 5.5. He's averaging 6.8 on the season. Since he came back from injury here at the very beginning of this January, he ramped up slowly, only got 5 minutes against the Rockets in the first quarter, only got 5 minutes against the Thunder in the first quarter, and then shot up to 10 minutes against the Nuggets in the next game. And since that game against the Nuggets, he's played 10, 7, 11, 7, 8, basically a floor of 7 and up to about 11 minutes. Now, the scary thing is there's like a couple 6 minutes, but he's taking so many shots and he's so hot in the first quarter. He's just a beast when he's playing out there and they are looking to get him fed early, I will say. So even if he does play 6 minutes, he's getting a lot of shots up in those 6 minutes. I'm not scared of it in a plus matchup with a guy who's been just cruising past this line. I can't believe they still have this under 6 points for a dude who's very capable of hitting three buckets, right? And one of them being a 3 easily. So 3 buckets either way for Kristaps when he's averaging about 4 to 5 shots per first quarter. I'm going to be good with that as well. So the first quarter bet going to be a look for me on Friday, in addition to either points or points and rebounds for Kristaps. One more look before I go. I just wanted to bring up that the Bulls and Raptors are playing here, and there's going to be a lot of like people rushing to bet overs for a game that seems like it's going to be a pretty high total and have a lot of points with a very high pace, right? Because the Bulls play super fast. The Raptors have been playing about middle of the pack in terms of pace lately. But the one thing I wanted to show you, if you pull up the last 10 games and you're looking at advanced stats here on NBA stats page, if you look at the teams with the top defensive rated teams over the last 10 games, Toronto is third. They have the third best defensive rating in their last 10. They've gotten their guys back, man. I mean, IQ's been out. He might be back in this game. Looks like he's questionable to play. He's probably leaning towards playing. We'll see what kind of minutes restriction he's on. But since he went down, they've been the third best defensive team in the league because he's missed the last basically 10 games. There's something to be said for that. So I'm not in a huge rush to just go betting overs for everybody on the Bulls necessarily. And I do think Toronto is a great bet in this game to pick as on the side as well. I would take them up to about -5.5 against the Bulls in this one. Don't forget to use code HEATINGUP if you do want to get your first month 50% off in the VIP and get access to those 55 units that we are up now on the season. Also going to have that live show 5:30 p.m. Eastern as we do every weekday. So bring your bets and don't forget to jump in the comments here and let me know what is your best bet of the day and a little bit of a reason for why it is your best bet of the day. I'll look to showcase those and give you guys a shout out on the live show at 5:30 tomorrow. So until I see you then, happy betting.